Hi, I'm Raj Ramachandran. You probably know me because I'm in your Bio 112 lab class. Today I'll be talking about grasshoppers. They were one of the specimens which we took a look at in class. We didn't dissect them, but they were on the back wall, and they were one of the specimens we kind of took a look at. Um, so I thought I would just discuss them because I kind of think they're pretty cool. They're ground-dwelling insects with ultra powerful hind legs. They're plant eaters or herbivores is another word. They're serious pests for some farmers, but that's kind of besides the point. They're relatively common. If you've never seen one, you should probably go outside. They're insect herbivores again, and they're hemometabolists, which means that they don't go through complete metamorphosis or true metamorphosis, but they do molt. And so I think there's like something like 5 molting stages in the life of a grasshopper. Um, their scientific name is Schizocerca americana, which actually, Americana, this one is the grasshopper we're most familiar with here in College Station. But Schizocerca is actually the genus of grasshoppers because it's a whole genus. There's over 10,000 known species of grasshoppers in the world, with about, I think, 600. Don't quote me on that 600, but something like 600 in the United States. A little fun fact, all locusts are grasshoppers, but not all grasshopper species are locusts. So I didn't know this. I thought they were two different things, but locusts are actually grasshoppers, but are distinct from other grasshoppers in that they swarm. They create these massive swarms. They're sometimes called plagues. So that massive swarming is kind of what distinguishes a locust from a grasshopper. So natural habitat of grasshoppers, they're found in great numbers in lowland tropical forests, semi-arid regions, and grasslands, basically anywhere where there's a lot of vegetation. They on every single continent except for Antarctica. Like they require a lot of vegetation. Some have, I thought this was kind of cool, so I included it. Some have adapted to really specialized habitats. You see this little guy on the lily pad here. Some grasshopper species in South America spend most of their time floating on the surface of water on vegetation. And they actually even swim and lay their eggs on underwater plants, which if you think that's actually a pretty cool adaptation for something as simplistic as a grasshopper, at least I think. Plants. So yeah, plants, they eat a lot of plants. They are herbivores. They mostly eat leaves, but they're also known to eat flowers, stems, and seeds. They're occasionally known to scavenge on dead insects for extra protein, but that's not the norm. They're primarily herbivores. Okay, predator-prey relationship. It's a tough life as a grasshopper, you know. Just some of the predators listed here: wasps, ants. I put a little star by ants because I thought maybe that Bug's Life wasn't such an accurate representation of a movie if ants actually eat grasshoppers, but what do I know? Ants, praying mantids, spiders, frogs, lizards, snakes. This on the right is a praying mantis eating a grasshopper. Poor guy. Predator avoidance. They have several adaptations for predator avoidance. Most obvious, I think, which I didn't include on the slide here, is camouflage. I mean, just like any insect, they're kind of trying to blend in with their coloration. You see lots of different patterns and different variations, different grasshoppers. But their most significant predator avoidance mechanisms are jumping. So they've got super powerful buff hind legs, and they can leap up to 20 times its height, which would be like a human just casually just clearing a 5-story building. So it's pretty nuts. They can fly away. They can fly. And sometimes they'll hide, but I guess that's sort of common sense. Fun fact, some species of grasshoppers actually eat toxic plants on purpose. I guess they've developed some sort of immunity to them, and they keep the toxins in their bodies in order to discourage predation. So that was kind of an interesting adaptation, but that's only some specific grasshoppers. So unique evolved traits. They have a typical insect body plan: head, thorax, and abdomen. They have really large, like really large, actually, if you look at them up close, compound eyes for a very broad field of vision. So they're pretty good eyes as far as insect goes. They actually have 3 other small little eyes on the top of their head, but those are only just for light intensity. They're not actually visual. So 2 main large compound eyes. They can jump super, like I was saying earlier, they can jump super high, and they've actually, studies have shown that they have this selective pressure to maximize their takeoff velocity, which determines how high long they can jump, which makes sense when you think about it, if that's how they're escaping prey. Stridulation. So we'll look at a video of this in a second, but this is one of my favorite things that they do, which I actually just discovered. I didn't know how they did it until this presentation, but they make this noise, which kind of sounds, it reminds me of cicadas, but they rub together their, they have this row of pegs on their hind legs, and they rub it against the edges of their forewings, like really fast, like, and it makes this, you know, kind of vibrating noise. And it's used by male grasshoppers to attract female grasshoppers. And the last unique evolved trait, if you want to call it a trait, it's more of an adaptation, but swarming. Locusts, which are the ones that swarm, they've been shown to, they get this serotonin released in their brain when they bump into a bunch of grasshoppers in a short amount of time. So basically, when they're around a bunch of other grasshoppers, they get really excited and they change their color, they breed more, they breed faster. And so it actually just furthers the swarming. And it's induced by population density. So populations of these locusts will build up slowly over generations and generations. And then once they get to this, there's some sort of a breaking point where they reach this certain point, and this thing called a plague forms. It's this giant swarm of grasshoppers. Happens occasionally. It's terrible for humans. It's caused famines. You see it in the Bible. You see it in a lot of ancient texts. They come every couple of generations, and I think the last main recorded one was the Rocky Mountain Plague in 1875, and there was an estimated like something like 2.5 trillion grasshoppers in that swarm. So pretty cool. How do they fit in the tree of life? I drew a little thing on the right. Hopefully my handwriting is good enough, but they're protostomes. So their mouth develops first, you know, as opposed to deuterostomes where their anus forms first. They're anthropods, which means they have cephalized ganglia, complete gut, open circulatory system, just like we discussed in lab. And then they're actually specifically under the anthropoda, they're insects, and then they're Orthoptera, and then Califera is their suborder. And they're likely the oldest living group of like plant-eating insects. And there's, like I said earlier, there's about 11,000 species of grasshoppers. Here's a little quick video of the stridulation, which is, again, the rubbing. Hopefully you find this interesting. You can see how it's rubbing the hind leg, the little bumps. You can even see the bumps against its foreleg. So yeah, I think you get the idea. All right. Oh, oops. And then their importance to the ecosystem and mankind. They play a central role in food webs, both as consumers and the many, many predators that they have. But I guess their most important role is that they speed up the flow of energy and cycling of nutrients from plants. So they actually, basically what they do is they're converting the energy from this foliage into energy that their predators can consume. And if you think about it, it makes it more efficient for those predators to have spend less time accumulating energy, and the predators can get bigger because, you know, they can eat 5 grasshoppers instead of spending the time to eat 500 leaves and get the same amount of energy. To humans, many just kind of dismiss them as agricultural pests, which is true. They do destroy a lot of crops, but they're also a valuable source of food in some places. They're a delicacy in some countries like Mexico and China. And fun fact, they were recorded in the Bible that it was recorded in the Bible that John the Baptist ate locusts and wild honey. So, and then lastly, here are my citations. I mainly use Britannica. That is it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Have a good Thanksgiving break. Peace.